Okay, so I'm going to switch back. I'm feeling it might knock it off again. Let's see, it does knock it off again. Okay, we'll work without the video for that. So, okay, we've got a really short session, everybody. So what I've got quite a lot of stuff to get through. So here we go. I'm going to bring you to this. Cameras or screenshots are strongly encouraged. Let me, hang on. I'm going to try something out. Okay. Guys, can you spotlight me on the other device? It's just called Steve. If you can spotlight my video. Who's my helper?
I am here.
Yeah. Can you spotlight the video onto my other device, which is Steve? It just says Steve, not Steve's iPad. Yeah, you got that. Perfect. Thank you very much. Wonderful. Okay. So now, I've got chat open in front of me. So as we go through, I'll be putting a couple of questions out, and you just answer in the chat. Okay. It's the best way. It's the only way we can get this interactive in the time that we have. As I say, though, there's going to be some links and so on. So have your cameras already, or take screenshots, whatever way you like, and be quick, because I'm going to be moving quite fast. First thing I want to do is see whether you agree or disagree with a couple of statements. With this one being, native speakers have a full vocabulary by the time they're 21 years old. Yes or no in the chat box? I'm saying yes, no, a couple of yeses. I'm getting pretty much 50-50. We're getting a lot more no's now. Okay, cool. Okay, here we go. People keep learning. So by the age of 20, a person would have approximately 42,000 words, rising to about 48,000 by the age of 60. We keep learning new vocabulary all through our lives. So, next one. I have an extensive vocabulary in my second language, and I use all of it effectively. Yes or no? Oh, seeing a lot of no's here. Oh, very good. Impossible. None of us probably. Cool. Okay, so here we go. Fact. Even in your native language, nobody uses all of the words they know. Okay, even in language one. So for example, in my case, English, I don't use all of the words I know. So we'll come to that in a little while. We'll look at some more of the types of vocabulary that we have. So with all that in mind, here's grammar. Okay, we learn lots of grammar, and grammar is the cement that holds a language together. Okay, so that's my own little quote. And this is my little visual of a wall made of cement, but with lots of spaces in there, which really looks a bit weird. Totally weird. So with that, here's what we need more of. We have vocabulary is the building blocks of the language. So when we put them together to create a language with grammar and vocabulary, we get a wall, hopefully a sturdy, robust wall. Obviously, there are other elements as well, but those are the two real ones for building that language wall. So, how do we do all this? Mission Zamana. I'm going to show you a scenario, and it is Zeynep Hoca. And Zeynep Hoca is a lovely lady. In fact, she's so lovely, I married her. And Zeynep Hoca, she began her lesson about traveling, okay, with some vocabulary pre-teaching. And of course, the students all go, oh, yeah, Hoca, yeah. I say, we know all this. We learned it last time, and we learned it the year before. So Zeynep Hoca says, okay, let's skip all this, and we'll move on to the practice and production parts. But then, as they went through the lesson, the dictionaries are coming out, the phones are coming up, Google Translate is coming along. They're struggling, and they're not being productive. So over to you. What do you think went wrong, and what would you do differently? So very quick, any ideas in the chat box? Just showing you the scenario again with the lovely Zeynep Hoca. They didn't learn, or didn't really internalize the vocabulary. Very good, that's belief, very good. They know the meaning of the word, not how to use it. That's a nice one. Teach, chest, teach, chest is good. Yeah, chest, what they know. Do they really know it? They struggle to, I think use is the key word in there from Aisha, to use the vocabulary. Not enough time to memorize all, bearing in mind, I learned it last year and the year before. Practice from Seville, very good. Yes, indeed. Any more? Too many words. Possibly. Not being exposed to real use, very good. Lack of practice. It's in the back of their head, lots of practice. Okay, I'm going to move on. Some great responses in there. Here we go. There's 3 levels of vocabulary awareness. So the first one is recognition. Now, recognition is the words that you have seen. You've seen them before, but you don't really know what they mean. So a recognition word is a word where if you're reading a book and that word is there, it doesn't impede your reading. You recognize the word, you know enough, you don't know what it means, but you know enough context that you can just keep on reading without a problem. In my case, an example of a recognition word is this one here, sepulcher. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing that correct. So, and basically, I didn't know what this was until this session, but I'd seen it many times in books. I knew it was some kind of a religious or holy structure, and that was enough information that I could just pass through and not actually learn what it really is, which is something like this thing here, after I've done some research. Next one, passive. Several people spotted that in the chat. Practice, it's in the back of their heads. Passive is the vocabulary that you know, you understand, but you can't quite use it. It can be on the tip of your tongue, but you can't produce it. Again, in my case, an example of passive would be this word here, onomatopoeic. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. That is a type of word that reads, that gives away the meaning by the sound of the word. So, for example, honk your horn, because that sound, honk. Whisper is a great onomatopoeic, whisper. The word sort of has its meaning almost built in. Now, for me, that was a word that, so Amalia says meow, very good, meow. So that for me, before I created this session, was a passive word. I knew it, I understood it, I knew what to do with it, but I couldn't, if I needed to produce it, I couldn't. Birds chirping, nice one there. Okay. Finally, active vocabulary. This is the vocabulary that we use day in, day out, that we can produce without even having to think about it. So let's take a look at some statistics. In L1, for native English speakers, the average adult has about 20,000 words in their active vocabulary and about 42,000 in their passive. So more than double the active is in passive. So how can we get things going from passive into active? This is what we want to do, okay? Using it, practicing it, and applying it. Now, here's the thing. Words that are in your active can also end up back in your passive. Words that you stop using for a period of time, like a long time, you forget them. Well, you don't really forget them. They go into your passive vocabulary. It means that you can't produce them. You'll recognize them instantly, but you can no longer produce them without thinking. You'll be going, what's that word? What the word that had onomatopoeic? Yeah, it's in the back there, but we cannot produce it. So what we really want to do is try and get those passive words into the active when we need to activate them. So, as I say, now, onomatopoeic is now, in my case, an active one, because I checked it, I pulled it out of my passive, and I've used it in context. So it's now an active word for me. So, back to the lovely Zainab Poja. What could she have done differently? So any ideas in the chat quickly there? Rima says, for kids, we need to brush up that dusty vocabulary from time to time. Yes, we need to activate. If we need it, in the lesson, we've got to activate it. So here's one I made earlier. A possible strategy that Zena Project could have used, and you're free to take it and use it yourselves. First, get students to brainstorm the vocabulary in pairs. So 5 minutes, no prompts, just put the topic on the board and get them to brainstorm any vocabulary. And if it's something passive that they think they know, then do a picture to represent it. So good things coming in the chat, but I don't really have time to go through them all. So I'll try and come back to them later on. You then put the students into put the pairs of students into groups of students. So ideally 3 or 4 pairs into groups of 6 or 8, depending on your class size. Then each pair gets to act out the unknown words. Other members try and find the words. So we're getting to physical actions. We've already drawn pictures. We're doing our best to activate this formally passive vocabulary. Contextualizing, nice one there. In the end of the activity, if they still haven't found words among the groups, then get each group to act it out for the rest of the class. Then we brainstorm them all up, and if necessary, teacher fills in with any of the missing words for that particular lesson. So that's a strategy that you can use that should help activate those words that they did know passively but couldn't produce. So how do we remember stuff when it comes to new words, new vocabulary, etc.? Let's take a quick look at our active passive thing again. And we're trying to get words to go from the dunya, from the great big world of vocabulary, and we learn it first. It tends to go into the passive side. So when we first encounter words, that's where they get parked. If we don't do anything with them, they disappear. That's it. So if they go into the passive and we don't use them or contextualize them or anything like that, they're gone forever. They'll have to relearn them from scratch. If they occasionally encounter them, it becomes a recognition word. So it's so lots of things happening in chat there. So if they occasionally encounter them, it becomes a recognition word, like my word there from earlier, sepulcher. If we start activating it, then we get into that sweet spot of getting them between active and passive. Once they're in there, it's good. Once you've got from passive into active, even if it goes back to passive, you won't lose it. Anything that has been active at any stage is locked in now. It will be either passive or active, but won't fall out completely. So in my case, that word sepulcher, which was in the recognition because I occasionally encountered it, now that I prepared it for this presentation, sepulcher has now come into my sweet spot, my active and passive sweet spot. So it might fall into passive again if I don't use it, but I will always be able to understand it and, if necessary, reactivate it. So let's go on to chunking. And this is what you said right now. Chunking is something that we do all the time, okay? We chunk things a lot, fixed phrases, things like by the way, a sense of humor, by and by. So how do you do? We chunk those. We don't learn them word by word. Phone numbers. We chunk phone numbers all the time. For example, I can tell you my wife's phone number in Turkish, but I have difficulty in English. I actually have to think about it in Turkish and translate to English because I've chunked her phone number in Turkish. I can do my own phone number in English and in Turkish. My ID number, my TCNO, I can do in Turkish easier than in English because I've chunked it. Metaphors, especially visual metaphors like this one. What's this one quickly in the chat box? Can't wait around though. It's learning cats and dogs. Thank you. Sophia was first in. Prize for you. Okay, super. Collocations, words that go together regularly. And collocations are great ways of chunking. So I'm actually going to show you a cool way of getting a collocations exercise. And as I said, take screenshots. You'll see this website again in a couple of minutes, but we're going to make collocation dominoes. And I've done this with different types of exercise. When you go on the website, it looks like this. So what we want to do, we don't want to match pictures with words. We want to do text only dominoes. So when we choose that, we then get to fill in our words. Now remember to separate your collocation into different dominoes. So for example, you can see I have domino 1 to 2 is take a shower. Domino 2 to 3 is have lunch. So we create our dominoes, we press that little button, make it, and there's our dominoes. So as you can see, we have a set of dominoes that there's one way of doing them so that they all fit together. And that's the website again, if you want to get a screenshot very quickly. So I hope I'm not talking too fast. It's mainly because we're very, very tight for time. And I've got another section that I need to get through. So bear with me. This one is the YouTube video here of, it's a BBC Learning program about collocations. It's fantastic. Take the screenshot. I won't show it to you now because it's about 6 minutes long, but definitely look at it. It's really, really good. It's good fun as well. Missions Amana. Not again, says you. So let's have a look. This time, it's the lovely Aisha Hoja. Now, Aisha Hoja is teaching a lesson about adjectives. So she wants them to match adjectives to animals. So big elephant, tiny mouse, and so on. After the lesson, she was thinking, she said, you know, they kind of learned it, but it was a bit unengaging, wasn't so fun. And that new vocabulary, it's not going to be sticky. They're not going to remember it. So what could she have done differently? Well, let me show you the rule of 3. A very quick little video clip here. I hope you can hear it okay.
Refreshing. Maybe Andy Dick has died in the last 20 seconds.
Okay, I'll keep looking.
No, I have to take matters into my own hands.
Hello?
Boo!
Who is this?
Hey, Betty, it's TJ.
Tracy! I haven't seen you since that Rapping Grandma movie we did. You were so funny as the Rapping Grandma.
So how you feeling? Any arm pain?
Shortness of breath.
Plans to investigate corruption in Russia?
Wait a minute. Are you calling because the Pac-Man guy and Jugbert Cody died? Is this a rule of 3s, Paul?
No.
Nice try, Jordan.
But I am going to be at your funeral. I will bury you.
So, rule of 3, that was based on the idea of bad things come in 3s. But here's the thing, the rule of 3 is actually pretty crucial. We do things like, you know, the 3 little pigs, we got the 3 cheers, hip hip hooray, we got the 3 blind mice. What else have we got? The 3 billy goats gruff. There's also, of course, you get 3 wishes if you're lucky. And we had Goldilocks and the 3 bears. And of course, nobody wins a prize for 4th place, do they? It's always 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So the rule of 3 is based on the fact that human brains like patterns. And I don't have time to go into too much detail on it today, but do some research on the rule of 3 because it's amazing for the classroom. What does it mean for us? Well, let's have a look. Students need to encounter or learn an item at least 3 times for internalization. So that's one thing, we need 3 times. So, and also you've probably heard of the count of 1, 2, 3. If you don't do your homework by the count of 3, count of 3 foster rapport among students. Any count of 3 or beat of 3 can get a class working in rapport together. And batches of 3 are much stickier. So I'm going to show you an example of this. I'm going to get you guys, actually, well, after this, because it's a nice little one. If you want something stuck in their head, put it in a sequence of 3. So Barack Obama, for example, did the old, yes, we can. you've probably seen Donald Trump, things like build the wall, lock her up, all of those things work in beats of 3. So people who are very good at motivating people and getting people to remember stuff are very good at counts of 3. So let's have a look and see if you can complete these statements. So we got things like life, liberty, and you can use the chat box if anybody knows it. I'll give you a moment. I won't give too long. I'll give you a second attempt at it. So life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Some good ones there, but not quite. So remember that one, pursuit of happiness. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. Friends, Romans, countrymen. Blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah. Location, location. Location. Excuse me. Faith, hope, and someone. Well, we had some good one in chat there, by the way. Amalia says, can we say it's easier to remember words as phrases than single words applying the rule of 3? We can. Firstly, we had the chunking, and we got the rule of 3. So someone else got something else. We'll come to that one in a moment. Faith, hope, and charity. Mind, body, spirit. Stop, look, and listen. And someone's already answered the last one. I came, I saw, I conquered. Right. So here we go. Look, let's do it one more time and see if after just one quick attempt, you've learned them. So what's the first one? Life, liberty, and happiness. Yep. Okay. So time for the chat box, but pursuit of happiness. Good. Venzo, sorry. My apologies. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. Someone says, sorry for interrupting. The link doesn't work. I'll try that. Okay. Yep. I'll see what I can do on that. Friends, Romans. Countrymen, good stuff. Someone's also put Eat, Pray, Love. It's the name of a book and I think a film. Blood, sweat, and tears. Very good. Location, location, location. Faith, hope, and not love. Faith, hope, and yes, charity. Mind, body, spirit. Yes. Stop, look, listen. And I came, I saw, I conquered. Okay, good stuff. So it makes you champions. And that's something that, because they're in bunches of 3, even with that really speedy run through and very little time, they're sticky. So compare these, for example, in a classroom. Big man, big scary man, stickier. Ugly troll, enormous ugly troll. Cute kitten, cute little kitten. Shiny new bicycle. Weird, creepy guy. When they come in 3s, they are much, much stickier than they were to begin with. So if we go back to Aisha Hoja, we've got the Big Bad Wolf is one. Yes, great one, Big Bad Wolf. So now when she's teaching her lesson, can anybody give any suggestions as to what she could have done? And in fact, that's a good one, Big Bad Wolf. Any other suggestions to what Aisha Hoja could have done for adjectives to animals? Big grey elephant, yeah. Colors give it straight away. Big cute animal. That's almost an oxymoron, but anyway. Yeah, more examples. They could have mentioned, yes, color and size tend to do it fairly quickly with animals, yeah. So, well, we can do things, we can bring in more vocabulary. For example, cute little kitten. I showed you cute little kitten. So, where was I going to say? Cold, slimy snail. So that's getting some more different adjectives in there. So try and mix it up a little bit and move away from just colors and size. Okay, so that's it. I've got through my chunks and I've managed to do it just under time. So I've got a couple of more things to wrap up and then I'll take any questions. All right. So the first thing is this one. We covered recognition, passive and active type vocabulary. We also covered chunks, phone numbers, phrases, metaphors. And finally, we covered the rule of three. Fluffy, stubborn goat in the chat box. Very good, very good. The other thing that the attentive among you will have noticed that I've been using the rule of three the entire way through this, which hopefully helps to make what I've been doing fairly sticky for you as well. So with that, we should be feeling like this now. So what I've got for you, I'm going to ask you to do something here. And it is, if you get your camera out, your phone camera, it's a feedback form. And I'm going to put a link, I hope, in the chat box. Hang on. Paste. Okay, no, the link didn't work. Just give me a second. I'll put the link into the chat box if I can find it. No, it's gone. Okay, so just take a screenshot and try and go for the link. And I'll ask you to fill that out as soon as you can. Not obviously not right now, we don't have time, but if you could fill it out during the next break or whatever, this feedback will help me with the with my presentation and making it even better for more people later. The time is short, I know, that's the restriction, so there's no point in mentioning that. And I know I've been speaking quite fast as well, but I'll be very happy with any feedback you can give me on that. So moving on to one more thing to remember before you go to your classroom is this. You do indeed, you all rock. So I'm going to go to the exit slide. We've got some, as you may know, I work for Pearson, so we've got some cool social media on the go, so check us out there. Give me any questions in the chat box. Oh, someone got that up very quick. That's Fatih. Thank you very much, Fatih. So, and I'm here for a couple of more minutes before Yanido kicks me out. Rule of three is a very good one indeed.
I'm waiting for you because it is really nice to hear you, watch you. I really like your presentation. Whenever you do a presentation, I am here. I am there. I'm just waiting for you and the teachers. If they have any questions, they can ask.
Okay, super duper. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, had a bit of fun. That's really the most important thing. Waiting for the name of the YouTube video. I'll try and get that to you somehow, maybe through Yanido. Okay. So.
Thank you for your presentation.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. See you then.